I'll stow it in my life with where I've sown a wallowed. I'm awfully mad on wild time. I want you to like it too. I love you more than last time, so I'll share the wild time with you. Experiment, make it your motto day and night. Experiment, and it will lead you to the light. The apple on the top of the tree is never too high to achieve.
Radio for the money. More radio for the money.
More money for the radio. Yes, I fully agree. This is the Dr. Bish Remedies show. Free radio here, dedicated especially to commuters everywhere, in cooperation with the BBC Home Service, law enforcement agencies in the United States and Canada, and the National Endowment for a Better America. More Bishery, produced by our politically correct staff of laboratory assistants and sound technicians from the Endless Air Force Base, and under the direction of Commander Lionel Gathering. Also there's our studio orchestra conducted by Sir Neville Cunning, and we wanted to especially particularly thank Mr. Barney Borden, who will be at the Hammond organ.
Good job.
Any resemblance to persons living or dead is purely coincidental. All names have been changed to protect the innocent. Featuring such radio personalities as Miss Sarah Liquid, who will be 103 years old in September, Gracie, addressing the kitty people here in our audience. Group Captain F.W. Ross Barney, DFC and DSO. Etienne Fromage from the feature Paris Calling. Dr. Juan Fernandez, Spanish in the Record Time. Miss Lorie Appett, Molly Ringworm, Abby Spellman, and a cast of thousands. We wish particularly to thank our associate producer Mary Lou Consumption, our executive producer Howard J. Coker, and the research department under Miss Bonnie Jones, along with assistants Daryl and Darlene Strawberry, who happen to be identical twins. From Darrington. By the way, where is Bernie Borden from?
Well, I'm from Pittsburgh, Doctor.
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The Hammond organ. Finally, our thanks to laundry person Donna Whimpering and to a talented team of field reporters to whom we're most grateful. Mavis Staines, Lamont Tampering, Don Upshot, Cynthia Cramp, best known for Who's Afraid of Cynthia Cramp, Dodo Balban in the Philippines, Tammy Hairpin, Art Juicy, Koki Windshield, let's see, Jack Picnic, Minnie Enderfoot in Tibet, our correspondent there in Lhasa, Tony Finger in Hollywood, and Mr. I Am Bob Daniels in Olympia, and finally, Orson Swindle in Partsville. This is a Carlton E. Morris production. Featured segments on our program are Famous Kitty Persons, the Unfounded Claims Department, Literary and Film Criticism, Letters and Calls from Listeners, Dreadful Mysteries, Odes, Ads, Field Reports, Interviews and Studio Guests, Spanish in Record Time, Paris Calling, and finally our new social services segment, the Constant Evaluation Department. Please keep your letters and phone calls coming in. Your response to the Remedies Hour has been overwhelming. We thank everyone, especially you commuters out there, caught in the traffic with nothing to do but listen to more bishery. If we're a little tardy in our response to your letters and calls, our apologies, as we are overwhelmed by your wonderful response. And now, more bishery.
Looks like a pretty rainy day, fellas.
It wasn't him, Charlie. It was you. Remember that night in the garden? You came down my dressing room and said, "Kid, this ain't your night. We're going for the price on Wilson." You remember that? This ain't your night. My night. I could have taken Wilson apart. So what happens? He gets the title shot outdoors in a ballpark, and what do I get? A one-way ticket to Palookaville. You was my brother, Charlie. You should have looked out for me a little bit. You should have taken care of me just a little bit so I wouldn't have to take them dives for the short-end money.
Well, I had some bets down for you. You saw some money.
You don't understand. I could have had class. I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody. Instead of a bum, which is what I am. Let's face it.
Well, today, folks, this is our radio quiz. Now, listen to the following from the history of cinema and see if you can guess the name of each film. And we'll bring another one on here in a minute.
In the sky, I ain't had no loving since January, April, June or July. Snow time, tain't no time to stay outdoors and spoon. Shine
Harvest Moon, a little hint, Laurel and Hardy. It's the name of the film.
How do you spell that?
A-L-L-L-L.
Wait, I'm gonna run it. What else?
Snooker.
Good-o.
I have to give you a hint on this one. This was
What else?
Jack Hawkins, and it was 1952. The man speaking is... This is a man who got a file on it back here in the archive. Oh yeah, Stanley Baker. Okay, let's play it again here.
Snookers. Good-o.
Yeah, I always liked that one.
For one who has not lived even a single lifetime, you are a wise man, Van Helsing.
I think that is going to be all on our movie quiz today. What do we got right up here next?
From approximately coast to coast, the Pimento Council and the Pimento Board, Pimento's real filling for real olives, present Classic Bob and Ray. This is Harry backstage speaking. Along with my wife Mary and our son Harry Jr., we're America's favorite family of the Footlights. On today's edition of Classic Bob and Ray, we'll be telling our own story of the ins and outs of show business, its headaches and heartthrobs. We'll introduce Calvin Hoogerman, one of our neighbors in the exclusive Long Island community of Skunk Haven. And you'll get to know some of the other characters that populate the world of Mary Backstage, Noble Wife. Next, Mary Backstage, Noble Wife. The story of America's favorite family of the Footlights and of their fight for security and happiness against the concrete heart of Broadway. Television special based on the Backstage's recent African safari was shown in the early morning hours of the Saturday following Thanksgiving. Right now it's Monday at their home in Skunk Haven. Mary and Harry, along with Pop and Calvin, discuss the show with its producer Greg Marlowe as we hear...
You know, you won't believe it, but I forgot to tune in for the TV special the Saturday after Thanksgiving.
Well, it worked out pretty well, Calvin.
How'd it work?
His tap dancing number, and we recited a little bit of Shakespeare, which was fresh in our minds from Las Vegas, and we filled that middle section pretty well.
Seemed to go pretty good, I thought. Of course, when you're so close to it, you can't give a real objective.
Jay?
Quite a way back. I was a little bit rusty, but I made most of the steps.
How did you tie in tap dancing with the African Safari TV special?
Well, we didn't try to tie it in, Calvin. When the first reel finished and the second commercial was over.
Wait. Jay? What does Jay look like?
I see you enjoy that.
Can you write it on?
No, baby, I'm working.
Dwayne Pixley, the call from the network. He's got the latest breakdown on the audience.
Oh, boy, they get a rating that quickly, Greg, do
They
they?
can get it overnight, you know.
Say, maybe that's your call now. Let me answer this and
Okay,
see.
fine. Maybe it would be Dwayne Pixley.
Probably is Dwayne Pixley.
Yeah.
Hello? Yes, who's calling, please?
Dwayne Pixley, I imagine.
Yes, Dwayne Pixley. Just a moment. Greg is right here. How's everything, Dwayne? Oh.
Hello, Dwayne. Yeah. Pretty well.
What else do you know,
Look at Mr. Marlowe's expression change from happiness, carefree responsibility, yes, to one of frowning contemplation.
He's writing them down.
Doesn't sound too good, does it, Harry?
Thank you for calling.
Well, I don't know.
Bye. Well, what was
Greg,
that? That was,
certainly wrote down a lot of numbers there.
You didn't register very high in the ratings that Saturday morning after Thanksgiving.
Well, really? By that you mean we weren't equal to the other networks or what they were carrying?
You mean some of those little cartoon things?
I can't imagine a big television special like the Backstage's Safari Show being beaten by animated cartoons.
Oh, well, I know I forgot to turn on my TV set, so there was one listener you didn't have, or viewer.
Of course, there was a 20-minute section in the middle of the show where I tap danced and Mary and Harry did Shakespeare. That might not compete with animation too well. Well, out with it, Greg. You sound as if you're holding something back from us. Give us the bad
According
news.
to Dwayne, this is the first time in history that they could figure that there was no sampling discovered watching our special.
Uh-huh. By that you mean no one was watching the network we were on?
You mean nobody was watching our program? Precisely. So I don't think TV is the answer for us.
You mean they won't be asking us to produce another special of any kind in the near future?
I don't know as TV is the end-all. I mean, we could do lots of other things.
Oh, there are other fields to conquer.
Like what?
Yes, like what, Calvin? Yeah, like what?
Well, let's go in the restaurant business.
Well, what kind of a restaurant do you have in mind? A steakhouse or something like that?
Well, they're pretty common. I should think should be something out of maybe some kind of a fast food operation would be.
Well, what's left? You got all the fast food hamburger places and chicken and you have fish and chips and you have what is it? Pizza? What else is there?
That's about the fast food industry.
Is there a big market for hot omelets and radio dispatch trucks and things like that?
I love omelets, all kinds. Western.
Here we have, once again, the Unfounded Claims Department with products testing from the Bish Laboratories, one of your favorite segments, I think. And it's thanks to Bob and Ray. And at the end of the program, we'll try to remember to give you all the answers to the quiz here. Now, we're running so many machines, this is difficult to get all this done. We have our, today, Nookies. We've told you we'd bring you this little test. Nookies is from, I have one of their labels right here, the Glen Foods Incorporated company in Copiague, New York. Copiague. When we were out in New York, we never did see a Copiague, did we? Well, no, I never saw one. Of course, I was busy with other things. Well, they make the Spirulina Sunrise, the Nookie. When you need Nookie, call on Glen Foods. Ginseng Sunrise, Energy Bar.
Slam on the brakes or anything, Mommy. Taking Dee-da-dee-doodle-day. On the bunny banks of Loch Lomond.
At your local market. The Nookies are probably the most highly recommended. So we give achievement in the field. Very good. else do we have? Tie gloves for winter wear, men's tie gloves, made in Thailand. I don't know. These are kind of old notes. Let's just check everybody coming and going from the laboratories today, and I can't keep track. By the way, we have a notice from the doctor, who's absent today, as often is the case. He says, all scenes in the following segments, which include references to the doctor's beautiful, nay, gorgeous body, as a sex object or as object of feminine adoration, must be deleted in order to conform to changing codes and canons of taste, that is to say, in all U.S. copies of the show being broadcast. All right, thank you from the doctor. That's right off the press. I don't know, he's downtown somewhere in his Honda. Ben and Jerry's. Now, Ben and Jerry's make good ice cream. We all know that. What I wanted to say about Ben and Jerry's, wasn't it? I don't know. We don't have very good notes here, fellas. Unfortunately, as long as you're commuting and you're caught in traffic out there, you kind of have to stick with this, don't you? Or else you have to turn to some awful music. There's a lot of you prefer awful music, don't you? Which one was it that was going to get the non-achievement award? Gracie?
Well, I think it was, what do they call that? Cookies and cream. Oh, here it is. Tom and Jerry's chocolate chip cookie dough.
Right. And that gets our non-achievement in the field. Sorry, folks. For those of you who can eat ice cream, here we're just beginning to organize something along the lines of the AA for ice creamaholics. And that seems to include our sponsor, the doctor. Oh, yes. We have Stuart Granger pants we're offering. We've got a whole, well, as Bob and Ray would say, a whole overstocked warehouse full of Stuart Granger pants for African safari or Himalaya expeditions. We're testing one pair right now. They're excellent. We have no criticism on the negative side. That's achievement in the field, men's wear. Our staff organizer, Miss Lorie will give something on the 96%. Well, this is the educational portion of our program. We have another guest today from the first grade at Clinton High, and a number of prestigious educators and so on. Here in the radio audience, we have a little piece that's been requested all too often, so we thought we'd repeat it on the show today. It was recorded in the BBC, was it not? Yes. I believe you had something to do with that, Miss McPherson. What were you telling me today about your daughter?
I did do with it.
And what else happened then after that?
What is the I don't read.
Oh, yes. Well, this is the math problem, and I know it's one of those rather complex problems that arise now and then, even before the first grade. But we're very glad to have that here today.
but I saw bread and sticks.
Well, thank you, Miss Sarah Liquid. I understand your commentary on that. We wanted to say that the following is a Dr. Bish documentary field unit made a few years ago, and the quality is not exactly the best, but to make our apologies on that. John and Jim have 2 cars. They are at point A, and they want to go to point B to pick up a 3rd car. Ultimately, they will have to return 2 cars to point C, and John, point C, by the way, is Jim's residence, and John will have to return to point A after that with his car. Now, should they go to point A first with 2 cars, picking up the 3rd at point B, taking Jim to point C in John's first car, Oh, this is a good one, kids. I'm glad you're only in the 3rd grade. Or should they take Jim's car? Yes, take it to point B. And what about John? How's he going to get home with 2 cars? Oh, God.
Good job.
This has been the Unfounded Claims Department.
Children of the night on the long journey, out there in the darkness, dreadful mysteries.
Nearly strangled myself with my own cake there. Yes, it's time once again for me. Gadios, let's say. So, settle back, relax. Bolt the windows and protect yourself at all times. Because who knows what's going to happen here? Our wonderful cast is assembling on stage now. Robbie Robinson, our engineer, and Bashella, my mother-in-law. I can't tell them apart, to tell you the truth. And Royce Johnson over there and Cruella. Cut that out, will you? Ajax, our half-mad brain surgeon here. The children, the dog, and Doris, my 400-pound wife. Not enough of this. We'll introduce them to you later. Now it's time for the first of tonight's dreadful mysteries.
Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce in the new adventures of Sherlock Holmes. And now for our weekly doctor's visit. Let's see.
No, Mr. Bartell, don't say let's see if he's expecting us. You know I always expect you at this time on Monday evenings, my boy. So draw up your usual chair and settle down.
Thanks, Doctor.
That's it.
All alone this evening, Doctor? Where are the puppies?
Out on the patio. They had a most unfortunate encounter with a dead seal on the beach this afternoon. In consequence, they're a little malodorous, shall we say.
In that case, Doctor, perhaps we'd better change the subject. So, suppose I ask you about tonight's new Sherlock Holmes adventure.
Well, my boy, as I told you last week, the story took place in the foul alleyways of Limehouse. It was there on a foggy December evening in 1890 that my story began. An old friend and patient of mine, Isa Whitney, had disappeared, and his distraught wife had come to me for help. Knowing the man to be the victim of the shocking habit of taking opium, I suspected that I might find him in one of the vile dens inhabited by the dregs of the waterfront. And so, Mr. Bartell, about 5 o'clock on that December evening, I began my search. After an hour of fruitless wanderings, I found myself in a vile alley called Upper Swandam Lane. I could hear the distant moans of the riverboats as I walked, eyes alert, and hand on the revolver in my coat pocket. Suddenly, I saw a steep flight of steps leading down to a black gap, like the mouth of a cave. I walked down them. The steps were worn hollow in the center by the ceaseless tread of stumbling feet. I reached the bottom. A door faced me, and above it, a flickering oil lamp winked warnings at me. I found the latch and lifted it. The door squeaked open protestingly. And I entered. There was a tinkle of Chinese wind bells as I walked towards a long, low room. A strange sight met my eyes. Through the gloom, thick and heavy with the brown opium smoke, I saw that the room was terraced with wooden berths, like the forecastle of an emigrant ship. Out of the shadows, there glimmered little red circles of light, how bright, how faint, as the burning poison waxed or waned in the metal pipes. Bodies lay in strange, fantastic poses. Bowed shoulders, bent knees, heads thrown back. The attendant came up to me with a pipe and beckoned me to an empty berth. I haven't come here to smoke your filthy drug. I'm looking for a friend, Mr. Isa Whitney.
No, Mr. Whitney here.
Oh, I'm going to search the place.
You must not disturb the priest.
I'm carrying a revolver, so you'd better not argue with me, my good man. Out of the way.
Good job, Mom.
I searched that filthy den, but found no trace of my missing friend. As I was leaving in despair, a long shaking hand reached out and plucked at my sleeve. I turned, and there sprawled in a berth was the wreckage of a man. His gaunt face yellow and twitching, his clothes filthy and ragged, and the pupil of his eyes like pinpoints. He spoke to me in a thin, quavering voice.
For heaven's sake, get me out of here.
Now, look here, my man.
Don't say you won't help me, Governor. Ain't you got out? Please help me, Governor. Take me out of here. Strike me pink, I'm going to bomb you, I tell you.
Well, what must you expect if you don't?
It's 1 o'clock, Doctor.
Yes, I know, Wiggins. We've been in there half an hour. I'm beginning to get worried.
Start going off,
No,
sir.
no, Wiggins. You know Mr. Holmes. When he gives orders, he likes them. There's a signal for help. Keep watching the house, Wiggins. I'll be out in 5 minutes. Go for the police.
Right you are, sir.
All right, Holmes, all right. I'm coming.
Good job, Mom.
dreadful mysteries. For our children of the night. To be continued. This was an adaptation called The Eyes of Mr. Layton, based on Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's The Man with the Twisted Lip. And also, we had The Shadow, Night Without End, both of which will be continued next program.
Keep your shirt on, I'm coming. Hold on. Lost and found. You lost it, I found it. You lost what? Oh, you lost your way. Well, dry those eyes up, dearie, because one came in just this morning, and it's got to be yours, because we only have one way. No, I'm sorry, we don't deliver. You'll have to come and get it yourself. Do you know the way?
I think I hear Mrs. What's her name? Sarah Liquid coming in again. What's that?
But can we go shopping in the store?
Sure, we'll come shopping in the store in a minute, but we're doing a broadcast and we've got to be ready. You know, we have a new technician here, Mr. Jack Picnic. Jack Picnic. And we've got a whole collage of voices coming on, okay?
Because I have an out in my head.
I know. Here we go. Well, there we go. There's our audience.
I've noticed that there's a certain questionable air about the whole area. But to the question. Avanti.
Well,
if I might be allowed
you notice
a euphemism.
This evening, the leading lady's arm was larger than Frankie Avalon.
I noticed that, and I'm glad that you did too, because after all, you are...
This is from 1964. What's that, Sarah Liquid?
The number of arms that are available.
Sarah Liquid likes to have credit.
That's what I...
This is Paul Tully and the Doctor in 1964 in Fort Bragg, California. This is called The Film Critic.
For instance, why not, shooting on location aside, and I realize realism and all that sort of thing, but after all, the number of arms available, we should have been able to locate, and it's an editorial we, of course, because after all, I'm not actively in the medium at the present time.
We understand that.
As you well know. But why could not we, again the editorial we, have located an arm for Frankie Avalon that was just a trifle, just a bit bigger, and maybe just a skosh hairier than
the one you saw tonight on the screen.
Funicello's arm. Because after all, we have film clips going back 14 years for Anna Funicello. We know the size of her arm. We know where there are arms available, all the way from Topanga Canyon to Santa Monica. Arms available in every size and shape. Why not find an arm and do it? Really do it. Put an arm on Annette Funicello that would match nicely with Frankie Avalon's arm.
Yes,
why not?
We had all kinds of trouble on that film.
After all, they're all real.
Almost touching her reflection.
Billy? Yes, ma'am? Where's my tea, girl?
Where do you think? In the cut box.
ma'am.
Mr. Pugh in the schoolhouse opposite takes up the morning tea to Mrs. Pugh and whispers on the stairs.
Here's your arsenic, dear, and your weed killer biscuit. I've throttled your parakeet. I've spat in the vases. I've put cheese in the mouse holes. Here's your nice tea, dear.
Too much sugar.
You haven't tasted it yet, dear.
Too much milk, then. As Mr. Jenkins said his poetry.
Yes, dear.
Then it's time to get up. Give me my glasses. No, not my reading glasses. I want to look out. I want to see.
Here's our Dylan Thomas continuing with Richard Burton.
Loomis. Oh, the baggage.
PC artilleries, ox broad, barge booted, stamping out of handcuff house in a beef red huff, black-browed under his damp helmet.
He's going to arrest Polly Garter, mark my word.
What for, dear?
Under Milkwood.
Having babies.
And lumbering down towards the strand to see that the sea is still there.
Mary Ann the sailors, opening her bedroom window and above the tap room and calling out to the heavens,
I'm 85 years, 3 months and a day. I will say this for her. She never makes a mistake.
Organ Morgan at his bedroom window, playing chords on the sill to the morning fishwife gulls who, heckling over Donkey Street, observe.
Me, dye bread, hurrying to the bakery, pushing in my shirt tails, buttoning my waistcoat, ping goes a button. Why can't they sew them? No time for breakfast, nothing for breakfast. There's wives for you.
Me, Mrs. Dyebread one, capped and shawled and no corset. Nice to be comfy, nice to be nice. Clogging on the cobbles to stir up a neighbour. Oh, Mrs. Sarah, can you spare a loaf, love? Dyebread forgot the bread. It's a lovely morning. How's your boils this morning? Isn't that good news now? It's a change to sit down. Ta, Mrs. Sarah.
Me, Mrs. Dyebread too. Gypsy to kill in a silky scarlet petticoat above my knees. Dirty, pretty knees. See my body through my petticoat, brown as a berry. High heel shoes with one heel missing. Tortoiseshell comb in my bright black slinky hair. Nothing else at all but a dapper scent, lolling gaudy at the doorway. Tell your fortune in the tea leaves, scowling at the sunshine, lighting up my pipe.
Me, Lord Cutglass, in an old frock coat belonged to Ellie Jenkins and a pair of postman's trousers from Bethesda Jumble, running out the doors to empty slops. Oh, mind there, Rover. And then running in again. Tick-tock.
Me, no good boyo, up to no good in the wash house.
Me, Miss Price, in my pretty print housecoat, deft at the clothesline.
When it came to selling them a car. You know that a car prospect seldom asks a salesman about trucks, but you'll find that truck buyers always talk to truck salesmen about their car needs.
Thank you, brother. I'll be right there. Don't you go away. We're going to heal you. Thank you. Thank you. Praise Jessel that we're all here together. Welcome to Reverend Ernest Angry's Disco Temple of Comedy. We're all here tonight because we believe that the spirit of comedy can help us. I know it can. Now, dear child, you've come so close because you want to be healed, don't you? Give me your hand, and I know you can walk without that chair. You can do it. Give me your hand. Wait, but first we touch you first with the magic words of comedy. Take my wife, please. Come on up. Come up now, dear child. Welcome to the Temple of Comedy. What is your name and where are you from? Evelyn. Let's pray for a last name. We'll get your last name, don't worry. Just sit down, you look awful scared. Don't worry, we didn't mean to bring you up here and ridicule you. Thank you, my child.
Robin Williams here.
Yay, we've had one healing already. Is there someone else? Do you need to be healed, son? Are you wanting to be healed? Then Unhealed. Yay! Yay, yay! Isn't it amazing what comedy can do? And those of you watching at home on your TVs, I want you to grab the back of the TV and feel the power of comedy. You will, as it chucks your ass across the room, somebody will have a laugh. And it can move you, woo! It's all right. You want to kiss me? You want to share my disease? A kiss for you, my child.
Hey, I want to kiss you too.
No. That'll be extra. No. Sit down, son. You're getting overzealous here. The boys is coming out of the closet right here. But that's all right because comedy says better late than never. Heal yourself. Now you know that comedy's like that. It can help you, don't you worry. You've got to laugh. We have Howdy Doody in the White House doing all those crazy things. Thank you, dear. You're obviously Republican. Yay. Praise the power of comedy. Can we get an amen right now? Can we get an A-woman too? Yeah, we've got to be equal always. Have mercy, testify. And those of you over there in the special seats once again. They understood me. I speak druggies. It's okay. Friends, it is so amazing to have you all here. You know, friends, if you're here, those of you on drugs, I know where you are. It's okay, because when you have comedy, you won't need your drugs anymore. You just put them in a big hat. We're going to pass them on you.
Fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty Hi-Yo Silver, the Lone Ranger. This is the legend of a man who buried his identity to dedicate his life to the service of humanity and country. It is the story of the origin of the Lone Ranger. Early settlers in the West had to be brave men and women, ready to fight for their lives at any moment. There was danger on every side. There were wild beasts, savage Indians, and the Cavendish gang.
The Mutual Broadcasting System presents I Love a Mystery. See what you got us into?
Now, Jack, you couldn't hardly say it is all my fault.
I could hardly say it was all your fault.
Sure, I reckon you could say it all right. Move over, Reggie, so's I can squat.
Quiet. Go ahead and squat. You knew as well as I did that the police were looking for us.
Yeah, I know.
And you knew that if they found us, they intended holding us as material witnesses in the Martin murder cases.
Yeah.
Who knows what evil in the hearts of men. The shadow knows.
The Jell-O program starring Jack Benny with Mary Livingston, Phil Harris, Kenny Baker, and yours truly, Don Wilson. The orchestra opens the program with Just One of Those Things. Ladies and gentlemen, it may be perfectly true that a rose by any other name would be as fragrant, but if you didn't know what to ask for, you'd never get to enjoy it. So a name is important. It's mighty important, whether you're buying flowers for fragrance or desserts for flavor. That's why we urge you to look for the name Jell-O whenever you're buying a gelatin dessert, because that name is a trademark. It's the...
I didn't have a credit card, you know, and I had to get out of there, and I went on down the escalator.
Oh, you like the escalators?
Yes, I love to go on escalators.
This is Gracie's visit to New York City and her New York swimming pool.
New York City or Miami, Florida.
Miami, Florida, huh?
Yes. And I'm going to ride every escalator I can find when I get a chance. But I've got to get my own credit card under my name, Gracie. I don't want any more male chauvinists trying to control my life.
Well, I can understand your feelings on that.
I don't think you can. You ever know how it was to be a kitty? You'd just be walking in a different pair of shoes, big boy.
Well, as you'll notice, we lifeguards don't wear shoes. We wear bathing slippers. These are genuine Brazilian rubber bathing slippers with the overlapping strap and the double-stitched nylon instep.
Yes, I can see that, you fellas. But what happened to those striped bathing suits with the two holes under each arm? I like those.
Well, those went out in about, I'd say, 1917, 92. Around the end of the World War.
Well, I don't know what World War you're talking about, but right now we seem to be in World War III, and I can't remember any others. I'm only 7, which is kind of old for a kitty. Not too old. I mean, I'm still in shape, as you can see. Well, if there's anything more you want to ask me about, okay, but I've got 32 laps more to do before I go home, and I've got to have my kitty mix grill, and...
Well, we'd like to hear what else about New York before you go.
Well, there were lots of nice people there, and there was a big dog named Chica who looks like Charles Levine, and I loved her so much. And I used to smell her around under her back legs there. And then her mommy gave her a big bath, and I couldn't smell her anymore, and I didn't have any more to do with her for the rest of that visit. But I'm writing her letters now. She's a nice dog. And I like to ride around on her back. One time I went down to the beach and so on and so on. Now, what else? Well, there are all kinds of nice folks and places that we stayed. And we went, we showed some movies. And we talked to some people. And lots of people wanted to see me swim, of course. And I had to schedule an exhibition. And I did a little bit of high wire stand, or high wire walking across the buildings, like, what's his name, Harold Lloyd used to do. Remember that? Hanging on the big clock. I found the same clock on 39th and East 42nd Street, and I went up on the elevator, and I stepped over the edge and got a hold of the big second hand, and damned if the thing didn't drop down to 30, and there I was hanging up about 90 floors. But you know, cats are very good, and when you fall, you don't get hurt, so I wasn't worried. And I just kind of climbed up the other hand, I guess you call it the first hand, I don't really know. It happened to be 7 o'clock, and it got me up to a window. And I looked in the window, and there was this beautiful girl in a long, ankle-length white chinchilla fur. And she was doing it with some kind of a man there, and my golly, that was nice to watch. I stood there kind of awestruck, frankly, and then I tapped at the window right in the middle, I suppose, of the wrong moment there, and you might say it was rather climactic. And they let me in after a little confusion and consternation. They'd probably never seen a kitty out there on the first stand, let alone the second one. And, what are you doing there, Bob?
My name is Hank.
What are you doing, Hank? You're trying to drown me. I've got to do some more laps.
Well, we've got to fill the pool every 30 minutes here. That's one of the house rules.
It's nice.
Yes, and, well, you know, we've run out of time, and we've forgotten the movie quiz, which is a very interesting one, so let's try to put that on for next show. And we've got to do the continuation of the Sherlock Holmes adventure. I can hardly wait to see what happens. Sarah, let's say goodbye to everyone.
I have a question, Gracie. How's your job at the supermarket?
How is my
job in the supermarket?
How is my job in the supermarket? Well, I'm just starting. That's part-time because I'm the park superintendent now in the area, and I'll have to remark on that later. Anything else?
Do you like that dog bear?
Yes, I like doggies and I like people, and I think it's time to close off and say goodnight to everybody.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.